Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I feel very privileged to be here with you all tonight. Before I get started, I'd like to just take a moment and send love to Nelson Mandela, who remains in critical condition right now in the hospital. Originally, I planned to do a poem, and but what came together is my side of a heart-to-heart talk. So I hope that these words reach your heart, although it's not a poem. From my vantage point, atop the colossal shoulders of my heroes, and I have many heroes. They include folks like Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Martin Delany, Nat Turner, people like Frantz Fanon, like Patrice Lumumba, like Malcolm X, like Robert F. Williams, Amos N. Williams, Marimba Ani. So from atop the shoulders of these giants, I envision a place and time when we, the descendants of Mother Africa, wake up. And in this vision, Black America arises and takes stock of itself, wakes up to the brilliant sunlight of self-realization through self-determination and doesn't even blink. In this vision, African Americans, a displaced people, embrace that essential work of learning, interpreting, and building upon our own history. Learning, interpreting for ourselves, and building upon our own history. It has been said that ignorance is bliss. I would humbly submit to you that bliss is a lie. And in this day and age, every single day must be a day of remembrance in our own minds. Because, my brothers and my sisters, we are perilously close to a point of forgetting what is at stake. And if you can call it what you will, if that flame, if that glimmer of the African sun that burns faithfully, although sometimes faintly, in our souls is allowed to be smothered out, then the devil's work is truly complete. And these days, the devil's tricks are played on us in a myriad of ways. Played on us through YouTube videos. Played on us over the airwaves, courtesy of some of our favorite radio stations. The tricks are played on us crystal clear, 1080p resolution over some of our black television stations. Perhaps most insidiously played on us and played on our children in the classroom. These are just a few of the places and ways that our minds, and especially our fertile young minds, our very future personified, are systematically broken down and discouraged, and then dimmed, and then mesmerized, entertained, and ultimately brainwashed by a narrative that would paint our true nature in the image of an American abomination. This abomination has no understanding of where it came from. It feels no connection to the legacy of our fierce struggle not only for survival, but for self-determination. And as a result of this critical disconnect, it disrespects and indeed it cannibalizes its own. And you need only look at the bodies in the street, or look at the ruined lives on the corner to see evidence of this.
All right, bro.
This abomination, this distorted, this denatured version of ourselves, it grew directly out of a deep wound to our collective unconscious. And wounds like this are not healed by the simple passage of time. And so now, we, descendants of Mother Africa, are being confronted with this reality of our wound, which has festered and has steadily bled into our collective unconscious from the very outset of our MAAFA. And if left unchecked, this wound nourishes only shame and confusion. And without the proper attention and strong spiritual medicine, this vague feeling of shame that it engenders eventually hardens into self-hate, which manifests itself through self-sabotage. And ultimately, this self-fulfilling prophecy completes and hopelessness sets in.
Teach, bro. Come on.
And so, no, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is not an option. The landscape has changed. The window dressing is different. But please make no mistake about it. Slavery exists. Only now, as time marches on, we are learning to put the chains back on ourselves.
Come on.
And so in this day of technological advancement, instant gratification, constant stimulation, it's easy to become addicted to sensory input. And right before our eyes, and I'm talking in particular right now to my generation, Generation X, the hip-hop generation, if you will, but really anyone with school-age children. Right before our eyes, our children are being indoctrinated into a form of mental slavery in which their ability to imagine and to see themselves outside of whatever current circumstances they are is being replaced by easy access to cheap thrills and external thoughts being placed in their head. So, unless and until our children develop a strong sense of self and they take their cues from us every single day, they'll continue to be vulnerable to the temptation to just dim down the consciousness a little bit and just give in to the seduction of a message that says, look, all you got is today. Just live for the moment. Why even rack your brain trying to understand all this out here, all this reality, let alone plan for the future, when nothing is guaranteed? In school, you can't understand what that teacher is teaching. Man, what's wrong with you? Just live for the moment. It's all good, just live for the moment. The message is pure fatalism. So the only way to close this feedback loop of learned helplessness, giving rise to eventual hopelessness, is for us to take back the reins of our own destiny, aka self-determination. The concept is not new, but every now and then it needs the dust blown off of it though. So, we're approaching 50 years since the formation of the Black Panther Party. And after the party's dismantling, central dismantling, a component of its vision faded. And that was to raise the consciousness of the people and motivate them to move more firmly toward their total and complete liberation. This incorporates spiritual, physical, political, economic, social, total liberation. something happened during the passing of the torch from the Black Power generation to the hip-hop generation. We fumbled somewhere in that handoff. And our, at one time, growing sense of community lost some momentum. And the time is now to work that out. We have elders among us who represent a living connection to our history. We have adults like me whose time has come to step up and leave our mark. And of course we have our most precious resource. We have our youth with their sparkling and supple minds, and they're observing us right now. And so my hope on this day of remembrance is that these humble words can contribute to the reinvigoration of our beautiful struggle. Harambe.